Okay. This is a lot better. Okay, so we're going to be working on this painting, and it's going to be monochromatic. I'm going to be using these Craft Smart paints. These are paints that you can get at Walmart. We remember we're doing monochromatic, so that deals with a tint, shade, and a tone of a base hue. So just gonna get started. Make sure it's shaken up. These have sat for quite some time. This is the picture that we're basing it off of, right? But we're doing monochromatic, so remember monochromatic deals with using one base hue. And so the base hue I'm using today is going to be this violet that I'm going to be using. So just get this violet in there. Get a little black in here as well. And some of this white so that we can get started. Small painting, very simple. Really using acrylic paints, but to just get the gist of what a monochromatic painting looks like, this will be a food painting as well because it's dealing with pretzels that I just photographed. So I'm going to just come in with my brush and I'm going to just get a base color of the violet. So I'm just going to get the violet in there first, just like this. Get this violet down. Just like that. And I'm just putting down just the violet by itself for now because I'm going to be coming back in and adding the tint, shade, and tone. But first, I want to put my base layer down of the violet. So here, I'm coming in, showing my violet is down in here. Just like this. Coming in. Now, this is a softer angle, so just gonna get some of this paint in here like that, just to soften that. In there just like that. Now, on this pretzel, it has a bit of a highlight on the curve, so I'm gonna do where I mix directly on the canvas. So I'm coming in with a little bit of white, and I'm gonna just begin to mix directly on the canvas, just like this. Add my white. I'll come back in, and then I'll come here. And come directly on the canvas again. Now, what I'm doing is I'm just building a little bit of layers for myself. So I know where to allow it to flow a little bit lighter. There's a little bit of white here. This side pops up a little bit more, comes out, and then comes down, just like that. Now remember, I'm developing this, so even in here, where I have a bit of my stuff coming in, I want to still soften some of this out. Then I'm going to come here, get myself a little rounded. So what you should see is it's starting to develop a little bit more. It's starting to get a lot more dimension added to it. Just like that. So now I'm going to come back in and I'm going to give it a little bit more violet. Now I'm going to focus the violet on the areas that are going to be a little bit darker, but not super dark. So, like here, this outer edge right here is getting closer to black. So I'll probably go back in and shade it. But for now, I want to make sure that I get this in there just like this, because it's going to require me to come back in. So the more I deepen the color using the pure base hue, the easier it's going to become when it's time for me to add the shade to it. So I'm just going to come in here now, and I'm just going to give it a touch. Remember, we're working off of this image right here. So we're getting a lot of the fine details and things off of this to build this to this, okay? Right now, I'm just using the same brush only because I'm just working on getting those fine details in here. Once I need to do the actual detail work, I'll come in with a smaller brush and let myself get all of that as well. Come here. Here. Okay, so I have the majority of what I want down, right? So I'm gonna start to come in here with my water cup. I'm gonna rinse my brush a little bit first, and I'm just gonna grab a dab of black. I don't want it to be too dark, so I'm gonna just grab a dab of black, and I'm going to go ahead and put some violet in it. we're going to shade it. And remember, anytime you add black to a base hue, it's going to deepen the color, but it also, black is so overpowering that it could take over the color. So you want the over the hue. So you want to make sure that you don't add too much black because you don't want to lose the color quality of that hue that you're working with, okay? And this would be called shading. As we add white, that's called tinting. As we add black, that's called shading, okay? And I know it could be confusing because a lot of times you think tint, when you tint a window, it gets darker, but it's a little bit different in this instance, okay? So here I'm going to come in. This is my hue with the black. And so now I'm just coming here, coming across, coming down. Just like that. And then because the lower half of my picture is pretty dark, I'm just going to begin to fan this out a little bit. Just like that. Now remember, it's acrylic paint, so we can always paint back over what we did, but we want to just, smooth it out just a little bit. Let that dry some. I'm going to come back up here because this corner right here. Just like that. And then we have this upper corner. Coming down. And then this right here. So right now, it looks like it needs a lot more work. That's fine. This is just like the Frankenstein of it, right? We're just doing like the raw edges of it. We're getting the little details down because then we'll go in and we'll finish it up, right? We'll smooth out all our color qualities. We'll smooth out our tones, make sure they're blending very well together and go from there. So now I'm going to just go ahead and begin to paint the next pretzel. And so in painting the next pretzel, remember, we're using this picture as our base hue. And so our base image, I'm sorry. We're painting this monochromatic using the color violet, adding the tint shade and tone to it, but using this image as our model. So same thing that we did before. We're going to come in and just add the violet to the overall. And if anybody's writing comments or anybody's watching, I can't see your comments because I'm streaming off of my phone. Because the quality wasn't that great when I was trying to stream off of my computer. So if you write something, I'll try to get back to your comment if I can. After. Okay. So we drew out our image as well for those that are watching. This image was pre-drawn. already, so there wasn't much to do because it was already pre-drawn. Okay. And now we'll just kind of go in and we'll add in some of the other details as well. So here you can see in this image, here is a lot darker. So we're going to go in with our darker violet right here, and we're going to just meet that curve right there. If you get it somewhere that you don't like, that's fine. Remember, we're working in acrylic paint. Acrylic paint you can always paint over. So don't fret, don't freak out. You can always paint over it. Once again, these paints are paints that you can get at Walmart. They're super cheap, super low priced, if you will. They're not expensive at all. I think you could get one for like 50 cents or something. Or at least it used to be like that. I don't know. These inflation prices have been something crazy. But I believe they're still rather low. Maybe $1 for one color, $2, $3 if at most. But they're not expensive paints whatsoever. And that's why I chose to do the tutorial with these paints, because there are other paints that I have. Like, for instance, you have these paints right here. This is the Liquitex Basics. You can find these at Michael's. You have the Winsor and Newton paint. You can also find that at Michael's. You have the Artist Loft paint. This is Michael's brand paint you can find. So it just all depends on where it is that you're going and what you're looking up and what you're wanting to use for your paintings. Okay? So don't get caught up on I need to have the best. Honestly, you make the medium work. Okay? Yes, some paints are terrible, but you still have the autonomy to make the medium work for you and create something that's going to be beautiful. Okay? So don't ever let yourself get stuck in the place of, I don't feel like I have the best, so I can't do it. No, you can do it. You control the medium. The medium doesn't control you. Okay, so I'm just going to come here and I'm just going to give myself a nice light purple to work with. A nice light violet. So I'm going to just go ahead and mix some of that up. So that I can come in and begin to put the violet down in the areas that we're painting over. So, like for instance, where the pretzels are meeting, there's a nice light edge right here of violet that's supposed to come, and it's supposed to come down just like that. And then there's another edge right here that comes here. Same thing. There's like a white spot right there. Coming here. And then you have some of the spots that are coming out and going over. Now, this background is more of a gray in the image. So I want to make sure I get this like grayish tone down. So I'm going to tone that. So remember, a tint is to add white, shade is to add black, tone is to add gray. So we're going to create the gray by mixing the black and white on canvas. I mean on the paint palette right here. We're going to go ahead and mix the black and white, and then we're going to add in the violet. So that we can tone that background. Okay, so now we have a color like this. I'm gonna add a little bit more violet. I'm just gonna take the violet and just put some in there. Now, this is where this can become and I'll just kind of come here. Just like that. Get it down. And then run my brush back. Make sure I can smooth that out. Just like that. All right, and then we'll come here. Drag, and then smooth, and blend it out. Okay, why I'm doing it like that is because it lets me get closer to the edge right here, where I know I'm gonna have to come back in and touch up the pretzel anyway. So I want to make sure that I'm getting my bang for my buck, if you will, on how I'm painting this pretzel. So I'm gonna come here. And then we're gonna come there, just like that. And then on here, the lower half of that is way brighter and lighter. So I'm just gonna begin to mix a lighter gray at the bottom so that I can kind of come in and just like this. And then there's a bit of a light shadow. What's happening in there? But then we have it get darker in here. So we don't want to lose that either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry a little bit so then I can come back in and make sure that this bottom half is really the lighter half as well. Now, with this, I need to just make sure I touch those corners as well. Okay. And so I can choose to keep going. I'm just going to get all the paint off of this brush first. So I'm going to just choose to keep going till I kind of just run out the brush, everything that's on my brush. Because I don't really want to waste that paint. And I don't want to just make my water even more mucky. So now I'm going to need a smaller brush to get in these fine details. So I'm going to switch to this one right here. Just so I can get into here. And I'm going to come in. Still paying attention to what lines I have that I gave myself to follow. And then I want to come across thing here. Just like that. And then this one, where we have it, it's a little bit lighter. So when I come into here, this spot is so light that I need to make sure I capture it. Just like that. And then this spot over here, coming up, coming down from there, coming a little bit lighter. So, of course, I'm going to have to come in and like clean up, smooth out. But the pretzel is starting to take shape. It's starting to take form. There's some smooth lines I have to smooth out. But the more layers I work in, the more you're going to see it really begin to develop. So that's why we can't just say, this is not working. I don't like this. Because painting is all about layering. And the more layers we put in it, the more our work is going to start to like, the more our work is going to start to develop. Just like this. And remember, this is a monochromatic piece. And so we are toning our base hue. When we're adding the gray, we are toning. Okay? Same thing here. This area is pretty dark. And guys, don't be afraid to mess up. Like, I just messed up and put a little bit of gray in there. All I do is like, I'll take my finger, I'll rub it, get a little bit of paint on my finger, it's fine. It'll wash off. Don't be afraid to mess up. Don't utilize this as I messed up. It's not going to be good. I'm frustrated. No. Mess up, keep moving, rebuild. Only way to go is up from here. Okay? So even in that right here, we have just like that. Okay? So as we're going, as we're going, we have this happening. Um, come in right here. Remember, the reason why we love paint is because paint is so forgiving. It allows us the opportunity to really mess up and keep going. Why? Because we can always paint over our mistakes. So don't be afraid to mess up. Don't be afraid to do something different. Don't be afraid because you're always allowed to paint over the very thing it is that you feel like you might have messed up. All right. And if you're new to this community, um, hit that subscribe button. Join the community. This is all about making art, be encouraged, and really finding your way in the creative vein. I would love to have you guys be a part of the community where we create. This is all what that's about. Biggest thing for me is art being um, a way to grow, a way to develop. And so that's the reason why this channel is actually created. I created it initially for all my students to always have somewhere to go that they can always come back and learn. So if you're somebody that's interested in art, join in. We'd love to have you as you try new things. Also, tell us what you would like to see us make, what you would like, what techniques you would like to learn. I've been an art teacher for the last 9 years. So I do understand how to teach it in a way I believe that is relatable, that students get well, and that they don't struggle with. Okay. So if you're one of the people that's new to the channel, welcome. We are glad to have you. If you're not new, welcome back. It's good to see you. I can see it says 3 people are watching. So welcome to the 3 people that have tuned in to watch us create this monochromatic painting. We're about 30 minutes into the painting. It's a small canvas, but it's just to help those that are thinking monochromatic, but are thinking like, how on earth am I going to do this? Like, I got that, like, what monochromatic is, I understand, but like, what does that look like to paint it? This is to help those of you that might be saying, what does that look like? How do I go about that? What do I do? This is for you. This is for you. Because at the end of the day, teaching art is a part of who I am. Purple pretzels, fire. Yeah, purple pretzels. We're using this as the stem on what it's going to be. It's a monochromatic piece, so we are starting off with just the purple pretzels. And one of the other things that I like to do is encourage artists as well. So if you're an artist on this page, just know like your work matters, and what you do is going to be so important, because you bring what only you can bring to the table. And so if you're looking and you're saying, I don't know, create the piece. If you're saying, I don't know, try it. The only thing that we can fail at is not trying. So I don't ever want anybody to come across this channel and see something and they're like, that seems cool, or because this is all about growth as artists, growth as a community, growth together. So I want to see you grow. I want to see you succeed. I want to see you successful in the things that you create. So try new things, try it out, expand your horizon. Are you going to be the best at first? No. It's okay to feel like you're not the best. What happens is, over the course of time of you keep painting, over the course of time of you keep showing up for you, showing up for your creativity, showing up, you really develop your own style and your own skills along the way, that make you you. And so, like, we all know when we see, I don't know, a Banksy piece. We all know when we see a Basquiat piece. We all know when we see all these pieces because we understand their style. And their style may have not been, to some, the most technically sound, but because they were true to who they were as artists, they were able to be seen, they were able to be spotlighted, they were able to get their work showcased. So if you're an artist on this channel right now, I just challenge you, create, don't stop creating. Allow yourself to like really see who you can become in the art world. See what you can do. I know a lot of times artists get the rep of, oh, you're going to be a starving artist. But I challenge that narrative, because if you look at the world today, art is embedded in everything that we're doing, right? There's designers for apps, there's designers for games, there's designers for almost everything that we do. So if you're one of those people that's like, I don't want to be a starving artist, change the narrative in your head, because artists are no longer starving, artists are thriving. One of the things that people can't do is they cannot take away your creativity, they cannot take away what you're able to do. So as you're creating, as you're doing, as you're excelling, as you're expanding, as you're seeking to gain new opportunities in the creative field, challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. Don't allow yourself to be stuck. Don't allow yourself to be boxed in. Don't allow yourself to be boxed in where you feel like you have to fit somebody else's box. One thing about artists is we don't like to be boxed in. We don't like to be stuck. We don't like to feel like we can't do things our way. challenge yourself to see outside of the box. You said unless you're locked up in a mental hospital. I can see comments now because I have my other computer open so I can see on there. Um, Even if you're going through something mentally, I will say art can help you. Um, Art can really help you. I've been in a place once where art was my mental escape, if you will. Art was a place that I would be able to take myself and just go there creatively that was able to help me to see things in a new light. So even if you're in a place where you feel like your mental health is under attack, I challenge you create. Sometimes I say I just need to let my art speak for me. And letting your art speak for you can be a powerful tool. There's things that you don't always need to say, your art can say it. And today, for me, honestly, was a moment of I have not painted in a while. I did um, my friend's graduation cap not too long ago. And I found myself saying, oh man, it was like riding a bike for the first time again because I hadn't really done it in the capacity that I was trying to do. I was making it look like she had broken glass, like she broke the glass ceiling um, for herself. And so, in being out of practice, if you will, it was a lot more work to try to get that down the way I wanted it. And so I said, I can't just let my gifts stay stagnant. So even on today, those of you gifted, talented folk that might be on here, don't let your gifts stay stagnant. Don't let your gifts stay stuck. Don't let your gifts stay in a place where they're just boxed in continually. Utilize the talents that you have. You weren't given talent for no reason. Utilize it. Unlock your potential. Unlock the creator inside of you. Remember, you're never stuck. You just have to look at it in a new angle. You're never stuck. Just gotta look at it in a new angle. Sometimes it's hard to see the new angle. are stuck. Let's go back in and get some of this lighter color in here. To round it out a little bit. It's not too shabby for a quick painting. And then there's the statement that your work is worth more. It's not worth less because you can do something fast. And it's in fact worth more because you had to learn how to do it in such a fast way. I often see there's like a statement or something that you see around that kind of addresses that, because people will kind of like try to undervalue what you do because they're like, well, you could do it in 30 minutes, so it doesn't mean that it's worth X, Y, and Z, but your work is valuable because you were able to do it. And it might have taken you 10 years to get that fast at painting. It might have taken you 15 years to get that fast at painting. And so now somebody's encountering what you can do in such a quick time frame doesn't mean that it takes away from the worth of your work. So remember, this is monochromatic. We're using purple, black, white, and gray to tint, shade, and tone the base hue. So right now, this is where the pretzels are. There's a lot more detail that I want to add, but I feel like I need to let layers dry a little bit more. I think I'm still going to come in though with some of the details, like here. Come in here. I think I'm just going to stick to, I don't know. The other thing with painting is that painting can be hard because you have to be telling yourself when you're willing to walk away. And so I could easily keep going. Could easily just say, it's not ready yet. But you have to be able to know when to walk away when it comes down to painting. And I think I'm just going to say, for time purposes, we're an hour into this painting. I think I'm going to add in these little details. And I think I'm going to call it a day. Because you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. Is it doing what I want it to do? Yes. Am I getting the effects out of it that I wanted? Yes. So right now, I'm just going to add in the little pretzel marks. that. Remember I said it doesn't have to be perfect. Thing is, if you get yourself going and you really get your gears grinding, you'll find out that you grew all along the way. All along the way. Some growth is better than no growth. I'd rather see you try than not try, because if you don't try, you've already failed yourself. So we just need to make sure we're trying, doing our best. So I can come here. Come in. Just myself something to work with in here. And then we'll just come in. Just like that. Give ourselves a little bit of a shadow in here to work with. And then just because I want it a little bit darker underneath, I'm going to come here. And here. And I'm just going to push it out. Same thing here. Here. And I'm just going to push it out just a smidge. Same thing here. Push it out. And then definitely in here, because this is the darkest area right here. So I want to make sure pushing it out just a smidge. Just like that. Now remember, we said it wasn't going to be perfect, but we wanted to be able to showcase a little bit of what this will look like. So remember, perfection wasn't the goal. The goal was to be able to showcase what monochromatic looks like along the way. So now we can come in. And then I say I'm ready to call it quits. I think I'm ready to finish. I think this is pretty good for an hour-long painting. It's an hour and 4 minutes we're at right now on a quick monochromatic painting. Remember, monochromatic is using one hue with a tint, which is adding white, a shade, which is adding black, and a tone, which is adding gray to one base hue. So this is one color, tint, shade, tone of the color violet. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. And we are going to get off of here. All right.